Do you want me to leave a second one up here for you? I'll take it. I'll take it if you don't want it. Let's see here.
Just don't take my sermon with you.
Right, I won't do that. I'm whited out with a light. Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. Glad you're here today. I'm Sandra Brown from the Sabbatical Committee, and I hope you will be stimulated for the next 18 weeks with our Sunday programs. The sabbatical represents and presents not just the minister a good opportunity, but it's also an opportunity for the congregation. So you may notice some changes in the order of service or how we do things. But that's our chance to do it, and we'd welcome your thoughts. Here's the first one. Since you are a literate group, I will only call attention to encourage you to read your emails and the newsletter for information on our various committees, programs, activities that we hope you will want to participate in. We again welcome your thoughts. Thanks to all those who contribute to today's service, Daniel Goodsight and John Forsyth in the transmission area, Sean Allison, who is the sabbatical worship coordinator for these 18 weeks, Abby and Sean for their musical enhancement of our services, Anna, who runs everything around here, and David, our sexton, who has done so much upkeep during our COVID time. Now, thanks to those who are here in person today, but also those who may listen at a time of their choosing. Today, we have Walter Foley as our guest speaker, a member of this congregation, a 3-year president of this congregation, and continuing to serve on the Finance Committee. Interestingly, his daughter has just served as president of the UU congregation in Worcester, Massachusetts. So the tradition continues. Now let's settle into our service this morning with the prelude.
Good morning. Glad to see you all are all here. The sermon topic, as you know, is about hell and heaven. And I think you'll be pleased to find that Sean and Abby have worked very diligently to integrate the music with hell and heaven. And you'll see that as the service proceeds. The opening words are from Eliza Blanchard and Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I've adapted their words for this opening. We are on a lifelong journey. All great poems, parables, and dramas alert us to this fact. Most of us don't think of our lives that way, because this journey is not one we get to make the complete itinerary for. We know where the journey starts, there's usually a middle to it, and we know where the journey ends. What we don't know is what happens between today and the end of the journey. In his poem, The Psalm of Life, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow says, "Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing, leave behind us footprints in the sands of time." Let's rise and together sing the opening hymn, number 38 in your hymnal. Morning has broken, and the words will also appear on the screen.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's dew falls, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
I will read the words to the chalice lighting and invite you to respond in unison with the words in the order of service and on the screen. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples is a house of community. It is a house of freedom. And it is a house that guards the dignity and worth of every member and friend. This house is a cradle for our hopes and dreams. It's a repository for memories of our predecessors. And it is the workshop of our common endeavors. Let us celebrate this house, which is also our home. The response? Freely seeking intellectual, spiritual growth. Masks are such a problem. Thank you, Janice. For the benefit of visitors, that response is the mission statement of this congregation. And the words freely speaking, freely seeking are important. They mean that each one of us is responsible for discerning our own religious truths. And we do that by serious reflection and contemplation. In essence, every Unitarian is his or her own theologian. We think for ourselves, and we are not dependent on specific sacred books or creeds or sages. Now, let us join together in the spirit of meditation. Let us look into the mirror and take stock of ourselves. We do not have eternity. We have a limited amount of time. Death comes too soon for many of us. We remind ourselves that these days on earth are precious ones that deserve our very best efforts. Let us remember that we can make a difference again and again in the lives we choose to lead, and that we can, as Longfellow says, make our lives sublime and leave footprints in the sands of time. Ponder these words as we share some silence together before the musical meditation.
I am a poor pilgrim of sorrow. I'm tossed in this wide world alone. No hope have I for tomorrow. I'm trying to make heaven my own. Sometimes I am tossed and driven low. Sometimes I don't know where to roam. I've heard of a city called heaven. I'm trying to make it my own. don't know where to roam. I heard of a city called heaven. I'm trying to make it my home.
Joys and sorrows. Actually, my original submission was to call this sorrows and joys, because I'm going to change things a little bit today. But the office reproducing machine rejected my submission. We said in the chalice lighting that our congregation is a community, and one way we honor our community is to share our sorrows and joys. Today, in our world, there is no shortage of sorrows. And in this congregational community, there are invariably those who are also sorrowing. This morning, I want to alter our recent practice and ask you to express your sorrows and your joys separately. First, I will ask you to identify a sorrow, a specific sorrow, or the name of a person who is grieving or sorrowing. Then we will repeat the process and express our joys. So as Tony does, I will begin with my left, wave across the congregation to my right, and now ask you to speak of your sorrows. Thank you. As written in the 30th Psalm, weeping endures for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Let's put aside our sorrows for a moment and contemplate this springtime season of renewal and rebirth, a time of new life, anticipation, and hope. Now I will ask you to speak the name of a loved one who brings a smile to your face, or a memory to your heart, or perhaps even a tear to your eye. Surely, we can all identify a loved one to so honor. Perhaps a parent, sibling, child, or even the name of one on our memorial wall. Joys. Thank you for all those sorrows and names, spoken or unspoken. We light this candle of community and love. Thank you, Janice. I have two readings this morning, both on hell. The first reading was written by a Calvinist minister, Jonathan Edwards, 280 years ago. Sinners in the hands of an angry God. Listen closely. The God that holds you over the pit of hell, much as one holds a spider or some loathsome insect over the fire, abhors you and is dreadfully provoked. His wrath toward you burns like fire. O sinner, consider the fearful danger you are in. It is a great furnace of wrath that you are held over, a wide and bottomless pit. You hang by a slender thread with the flames of divine wrath flashing about it, and every moment to singe it and burn it asunder. And it would be dreadful to suffer this fierceness and wrath of Almighty God one moment, but you must suffer for all eternity. There will be no end to this exquisite, horrible misery. And it would be a wonder if some that are now present should not be in hell in a very short time before the year is out. And it would be no wonder if some persons that now sit here in some seats, in health and quiet and secure, should be there before tomorrow morning. So ends the first reading. I don't know what the practice was 280 years ago in a Calvinist church, but I can't help but think this is probably when they took the offertory. So we will receive the offertory now. Let this be an offering to sustain and strengthen this community, which is sacred to us, was sacred to our predecessors, and will be sacred to our successors. This is a community of memory, hope, and dreams, and it is part of a denomination that has long been freed from a religion of fear, hopelessness, and eternal torment. May our cup of generosity runneth over.
In many of the Negro spirituals, and yes, that is the current accepted scholarly name for these pieces of music, rivers are prominent images and can signify different things. In most, as in Deep River, the river can signify crossing over into the afterlife at death, but spirituals are rich with layers of meaning and can sometimes be as literal as to give geographical directions for slaves seeking freedom. So, in Deep River, heaven, or as the spiritual calls it, campground, could be life after death, or it could mean a figurative heaven, that being a life without slavery, which could very well be on the other side of an actual river. In the Negro spirituals, heaven could very well be right here on earth. Deep river.
to cross over into campground. Deep river, my home is over Jordan. Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over into campground. Oh, don't you want to go to that gospel feast, that promised land, where all is peace? Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over into campground.
This second reading is also about hell, but it's not from an 18th century Calvinist minister. Rather, it's by an anonymous university student studying advanced thermodynamics. And it dates back to the 1920s. So some of you perhaps have heard it before. But this is his response to a question on a midterm chemistry exam. The chemistry exam was about Boyle's law. Boyle's law pertains to the properties of a gas as it reacts to heat and pressure. The last question on the exam was an optional one for extra credit. The question is this: is hell exothermic, gives off heat, or endothermic, absorbs heat? Now you might ponder that for a moment and think how you would answer that question. Do you think hell gives off heat or absorbs heat? This is something Unitarians could quibble about for a long time, I suspect. At any rate, here's the student's answer. First, we need to know how the mass of hell is changing over time. So we need to know the rate at which souls are moving into hell and the rate at which they are leaving, which is unlikely. I think we can safely assume that once a soul gets to hell, it will not leave. Therefore, no souls are leaving. As for how many souls are entering hell, let's look at the different religions that exist in the world today. Most of these religions state that if you are not a member of their religion, you will go to hell. Since there is more than one of these religions, we can project that all souls will go to hell. With the birth and death rates as they are, we can expect the number of souls in hell to increase exponentially. Now, we must look at the rate of change in the volume of hell, because Boyle's law states that in order for the temperature and pressure in hell to stay the same, the volume of hell has to expand proportionately as souls are added. This gives us two possibilities. First, if hell is expanding at a slower rate than the rate at which souls enter hell, then the pressure and temperature in hell will increase until all hell breaks loose. Second, if hell is expanding at a faster rate than the increase of souls in hell, then the temperature and pressure will drop until hell freezes over. So which is it? If we accept the postulate given to me by Teresa during our freshman year, that it will be a cold day in hell before I sleep with you, and take into the account that I slept with her last night, then number two must be true. And this, I am sure, hell is exothermic and has already frozen over. The corollary of this theory is that since hell has frozen over, it follows it is not accepting any more souls and is therefore extinct, leaving only heaven, thereby proving the existence of a divine being, which also explains why last night Teresa kept shouting, "Oh my God, oh my God." Now, with that version of hell being preferable to the one of Jonathan Edwards, let us celebrate by standing and singing hymn 131, "Love Will Guide Us."
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us
I have a brief reading, which I think we should do in unison. I had thought about making a responsive reading, but let's just read the words together. It's Macbeth, Act 5, Scene 5, words with which you are probably familiar. Tomorrow, tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps on this petty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Hell, heaven, and Unitarians. A great combination. In the 3rd century BC, Epicurus, well-known Greek philosopher, wrote, "Death, the most terrifying of ills, is nothing to us, since so long as we exist, death is not with us. And when death comes, then we no longer exist." The book of Corinthians asks, "Death, where is thy sting?" While death itself may bring no pain, dying itself can be a very painful and prolonged process. Many of us have suffered while a loved one's painful death. Forrest Church, the great Universalist minister, considered death to be the very source of religion. Religion, he said, is our human response to the dual reality of being alive and knowing we must one day die. Knowing we must one day die, we cannot but question what life means. All religions, one way or another, deal with death. Many religions, including many Christian denominations, regard death not as an ending, but as a doorway, a path to something else. And for many, that doorway is an entrance to an afterlife that for many posits two extremes, a miserable hell or a marvelous heaven. The readings by Jonathan Edwards and the anonymous university student are my efforts to dismiss the Calvinist description of an everlasting, fiery afterlife, though I doubt many Unitarians worry about such a fate. I have no equivalent reading describing an eternal paradise of heavenly bliss, but you may recall the quip about Islamic suicide martyrs being promised the company of 17 Vestal virgins in paradise, only to find they were not Vestal virgins, but West Virginians. So much for the heavenly realm and that concept of an afterlife, and I will seek forgiveness from anyone here who was offended by my comment about the great state of West by God, Virginia. While it is relatively easy for me and perhaps for you to dismiss the terrifying notion of an eternal afterlife of a fiery hell, or the equally unlikely afterlife of eternal bliss, that is because as Unitarians and Universalists, we focus on one life at a time, the life before death. But my message this morning is that dismissing the notion of an afterlife does not exempt Unitarians from experiencing either hell or heaven right here on earth before our death. It was the late Unitarian minister Harry C. Meserve who suggested that Shakespeare's Macbeth may best describe a dreadful hell for contemporary Unitarians. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, the way to dusty depth, out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets this hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. Shakespeare is describing a life that is devoid of meaning. Days on earth are short, a brief candle. A life so empty, it's comparable to an actor with a minor role for a few moments on an unimportant stage and then is heard no more. A tale told by an idiot signifying nothing, or worse, an entire life signifying nothing. Hell for a Unitarian, then, may be an empty, purposeless life. A life not well spent means nothing. A life whose echo is heard no more. A life readily forgotten. A life that had no impact on those left behind. A life, in the words of Longfellow, that left no footprints in the sands of time. That is indeed one description of a hellish life, if not of hell itself, for those who would like to leave footprints in the sands of time. Fortunately, there's an alternative to this vision of hell for Unitarians, and of course, this is heaven. One very clear notion of heaven while we are alive is the mere fact of our existence, the miracle of life. Each of the 100 billion stars in the Milky Way has at least one companion planet. Planets in the universe are as common as grains of sand on the beach. Yet, astronomers mostly agree that nowhere else in the cosmos is there an intelligent species of life capable of building a civilization. As one notable astronomer, John Gribben, explains, life on Earth depended on a series of unique events in cosmic history. Without the sun and the Earth's specific tilt and its precise position between Venus and Mars, and without the moon's large size relative to Earth, a ratio that is unique in the solar system, Earth would not be able to support and sustain life. In short, according to Gribben, Earth is the sole abode of intelligent life in the galaxy. Moreover, each of our lives on this unique planet is the product of another miracle, the miracle of a single sperm fertilizing an egg, a miracle that occurred for our parents and their grandparents, and all our parents back to the dawn of humanity. Think of the thousands of years sequence of those sperm and egg miracles which preceded each of our arrivals on earth. Given that planet Earth is unique and our existence on it is a miracle, it's reasonable to consider that we may be residing in heaven right now. So now we might reflect on the soliloquy from Macbeth and how to consider how to pursue a meaningful life. In the words of Forrest Church, the purpose of life is to live in such a way that our lives will prove worth dying for. And how to live that way? In his view, the one thing that can never be taken from us, even by death, is the love we give away before we die. The love we spoke of a few minutes ago in joys. And such love is not merely the love of a spouse or a parent or a child. That is too restrictive a notion. Love as the very essence of a well-lived life is found in these words by the great Russian novelist Fyodor Dostoevsky, words I have used in a previous service. Dostoevsky says, "Love all creation, the whole of it, and every grain of sand. Love every leaf, every ray of God's light. Love the animals, love the plants, love everything. If you love everything, you will perceive the divine mystery of things, and you will come to love this whole world with an abiding, universal love." While I share this view that love is central to a well-lived life, a focus on love may not be sufficient to constitute a meaningful life for all of you. Each of us must search for that meaning, just as each of us must develop our own religious truths and beliefs. The quest for a meaningful life is central to the religious quest itself. Young adults may find meaning in what they propose to do. The middle-aged may find meaning in what they are now doing. And those of us in the autumn or winter of our lives may find meaning in what we have already done or what we will do in our remaining days. One Unitarian minister has a suggestion for all of us to consider, regardless of age, and that is to do something we don't usually do, to think of ourselves as ancestors. We do occasionally think of our own ancestors, our grandparents and perhaps their parents, those whose hopes and dreams brought us into being, those whose genes we carry. She suggests that those of us who are so fortunate to have children, one quest for meaning is to consider your role as an ancestor. Think not just of your children and grandchildren, but of all of those grandchildren's descendants you will never know. While it's hard to envision what their world may be like, it's not hard to imagine the values and principles and environment that we would like them to inherit. Ponder that too as you think of the meaning you find in life. So, as we Unitarians applaud ourselves for focusing on this life and pretty much disregarding an eternal afterlife, let's recognize that we have the opportunity to not only avoid a hellish, meaningless life before death, but to acknowledge and cherish the heavenly miracle of our existence on this lonely planet in the cosmos. And by striving to lead a meaningful life, perhaps leave footprints in the sands of time. May it be so. Now please join in celebrating and singing our closing hymn, number 311, Let It Be a Dance.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind, let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Taking it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If there's nothing wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round around we go again. Let it be a dance.
I have a few closing words. These words I adapted from Forest Church. Look back at your life. How amazing it is. The people who loved us, our parents, they weren't perfect, but neither are we. Our children, if we are blessed to have children, the embrace of a loved one, the music of Bach and Mozart, the art of Rembrandt and others, the springtime blossoming of crocuses and dandelions, our friends, the sun and the moon, our senses, touch and sight, taste and hearing, smell, every miracle we take for granted every day of our lives until the day we die. Nothing, including any imaginable afterlife, could be more astounding than life itself. Remember how fragile life is and how precious love is. We have time to seize every opportunity to offer thanks, to celebrate, to serve, to hope, to love, and to leave footprints in the sands of time. Then look back and sing, for you have enjoyed a heavenly life. Amen. Amen.